Hello guys, this is Brad on YouTube, and I thought it might be kind of fun to do a video about the fragrance rating system. Um, whenever you do a fragrance review, when it's all said and done, people are going to want to know, what do you give it? How many stars out of a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give it? So, you got to have something to base your score on. And if you watch, like Mark especially, has a breakdown at the end of all of his videos where he talks about each category, and even did a video where he talked about how even though he gives each area a score, that doesn't necessarily um, work out evenly for the final score. So I just thought I would go over some of the important areas of a fragrance review and just give my thoughts on it. We'll start with the smell itself. Certainly, probably, if not one of the most, maybe the most important aspect of a fragrance. And you have to actually think about the entire evolution of the smell as well, from start to finish. Because some fragrances start off so fantastic and they dry down mediocre or poor. Some start off kind of mediocre but pick up at the end. So it's kind of tricky. I think for me, I'd rather have something that started off nice and slowly got mediocre, because it seems to me that if people are going to notice my fragrance, it's probably going to be when it's the loudest at the top. And if you're lucky enough to have a fragrance that stays strong through the dry down, maybe it doesn't really matter if it smells better at the end or at the beginning. Um, but just kind of keep everything in perspective, average everything out, and you can give your final smell score on a fragrance and probably give that a lot of attention for the overall score of your fragrance. Longevity projection. Again, this one's kind of iffy. Some fragrances aren't even designed to last a long time. Like sporty fragrances, you're not really going to get 16 hours out of a sporty fragrance. Projection, if it's a romantic fragrance, it might not smoke out the entire room. So you got to keep that in perspective with other similar fragrances, but it is important. Probably not as important as smell though. Uniqueness, again, if you have a small collection, maybe it's not that important. If you have a large collection, uniqueness can be very important. There's been many times when I've blind bought a fragrance and I've been very disappointed because it smells almost exactly like another fragrance. So it's almost like I bought two bottles of the same fragrance. I don't want that to happen. So uniqueness needs to be factored in with fragrance reviews, I think, especially for people with larger collections that don't want duplicates. Versatility, another very important category, especially for people with small collections. If you have a small collection, you want fragrances that you're going to be able to wear 50 or 100 times a year. I have some fragrances that I might only wear once or twice a year because they just don't have a very versatile smell. M7 is one that I probably wouldn't wear more than once or twice a year. Chrome, maybe just a few times a year, but some fragrances like Acquadigio, in the summertime, very versatile. Yves Saint Laurent L'Homme year round. So depending on your collection size. If you have a small collection, you're going to want very versatile. If you have a large collection, you might not even care so much about versatility, but it does have to factor into your score somehow. And finally, I'm going to say price point, and that to me is very, very important. Um, you might notice that a lot of my scores for fragrances are kind of bad. Like I've done a review of like New Harlem and recently Meth Fresh, and I've given them very poor scores. And mainly that is because of the price point. If I'm going to spend $100, $200 for a fragrance, it has to really blow me away in pretty much every category. And it has to outperform similar fragrances in the niche market as well. It has to be, something that I would almost wear daily. So yeah, price point always is important with niche, especially, and it can really kill a score. That's why I think some people get upset with my reviews, because I give some overhyped fragrances in the community scores in that 5 range or whatever, and it's mostly because of the price. Some people seem to be buying these niche fragrances left and right like they're nothing, but for the average guy, I don't think that's a wise thing to do. And let's see, I did leave out compliments. I don't routinely get compliments on fragrances, but if you do, and you want to put that in your system as well, that's great too. So those are just some of the things that I wanted to get off my chest about a fragrance review system. Hopefully, you'll take all those into consideration when you review a fragrance. And when it's all said and done, when you come up with your final score, just use your best judgment and give it, a score based on, how likely you would to actually buy the fragrance. I think is the main thing at the end of the day. Will you actually want to buy this fragrance, or would you actually recommend this fragrance to somebody, irregardless of how it's scored in all the categories? It's basically just like an instinct, I think, at the end of the scoring system. But I helped you guys out. If you have any additional thoughts about the scoring system of a fragrance, please mention that down below, and maybe help some of these reviewers out. So thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later, and have a good one.